Hey, have some tea with me? A friend of mine made me this amazing tea, about five different herbs for my lungs. I'm practicing receiving better breath, and the tea is part of making my lungs healthier. So I'm really grateful for that. Grateful for you. Thank you for joining me. I have my notes with me because I want to make sure I remember everything that I have to say. Lit a candle to invite the ancestors in the spirit world. So I was going to make this video on solstice. What happened was I was having a little bit of a ceremony with my partner. I had a dark candle lit to represent the dark part of the year, and then I had a light colored taper. It was a beeswax taper that I then lit from the dark candle to represent the rebirthing of the sun and entering into the light part of the year in the northern hemisphere. And then as I blew out the dark candle, the power went out like that second. And then for the next 3 hours we spent solstice perfectly by candlelight, reading and talking and meditating, and it was actually quite magical. So I didn't end up doing the video that night, and then I was going to do it yesterday, and yesterday the energy just didn't feel correct for the message or how I felt internally. Externally, the energy wasn't correct either. So here I am today, and we had a big snowstorm. So normally I would be outdoors in the woods, but I threw out my boots last year. So now no going into the woods until I have my new pair of boots. Anyway, so what I want to start with is, and I just want to say, I'm so grateful that you show up here and that you listen to these messages that are often channeled through the Pleiadians. Sometimes they're not, but most often they are. And, I'm not, I just want to be clear about the fact that I'm not any kind of a guru. I know that I do teach a lot through my writing and through my words, and now I've started into video. But I just want you to know that whatever I'm sharing here has come through, even though it's channeled, it has come through the filter of me and my human. So, it's always best for you to use your intuition to see if this is resonating with you, and if it's not, that's perfectly fine, and this will fall into the ears of those who are resonating. And in any case, it's just a really great honor to be able to share with you at any level. So what I wanted to start with was, let's face it, 2020 has been a bit of a shit show. It's been very illuminating. It's been heart-opening. It's been fear-invoking, and everything in between. 2020 began with the Saturn conjunction with Pluto and 7 planets in Capricorn, and it was like January 1st and 12th that was happening, and that was the huge kind of portal through which COVID entered and shook up our world. And then we had 6 eclipses in 2020 instead of our usual 4. And then just recently at solstice, we had the conjunction of Saturn and Jupiter. January 10th, we're right straight back into it in 2021. Another epic cosmic shenanigan, triple conjunction of Saturn, Jupiter, and Mercury on January the 10th. So what I want to say about all that is that these huge cosmic events are triggers, they trigger evolutionary leaps within ourselves, within the consciousness, and on an individual level. So there are portals, there are openings, there are triggers. They open us to a new way of being or a new way of thinking. I think there's been a lot of talk recently about the Age of Aquarius and what is coming down the line. And I know that we're all excited about 2021 because surely it has to be better than 2020. Because, let's face it, 2020 was very difficult in terms of finding our ground, because it was a year that shook up our ground and shook up all our foundations so that we could rebuild again. And, the downloads and the messages that I've been receiving is that we are really in the thick of things right now. So although we're really looking forward to the Age of Aquarius, which is, depending on which astrologer you speak to, we're at the beginning of it, we're in it, I feel, and what the P's say, the Pleiadians say, is that we're like dipping our toes in. And it's not just something that happens like, one day there's a cosmic shift and then all of a sudden we're in this new age. Ages come in just like anything else comes in nature. It's a process, it's a stage, it's a season. So the Age of Aquarius is still evolving and we are evolving with it. But what the Pleiadians have been very, very emphatic about is that Homo Sapiens, is not who is going to be living through the Age of Aquarius. And so that's really what I want to talk about, and it's a big, heavy subject. And, before their Homo Sapiens kind of took over life on the planet, and there were the Neanderthals, there was nothing wrong with the Neanderthals. They were a very sophisticated society and they had a lot of things on the go, but they were simply a lot less aggressive or a lot less apt to make changes in order to survive in the world as it was evolving. And so Homo Sapiens kind of, took the forefront. Not that we've been any better. And I'm not saying one is better than the other. There's no better than one than the other. They were just different. And so what the P's are saying is that because Homo Sapiens have been very, very slow to evolve into a heart-centered humanity, that they're not going to be the ones that are going to be living through the Age of Aquarius. And so who is going to be part of that Age of Aquarius? That is the new human, Homo luminous, a person who is living through the heart. And so I don't want this to sound scary, and I don't want this to sound as if, you or I or whoever is not going to be part of the Age of Aquarius. First of all, there's quite a few years of still adjusting into that age. So I know that people like myself who are, I turned 60 this year, I'm not going to be around in 500 years, or however many years. I have no clue how many years I have left. But a lot of us are going to be part of that transition period and not part of the actual Age of Aquarius when it's settled into its true form. So because we have been living mainly through our brain, and we've been walking on the earth with rather a heavy foot, now we are coming to the realization that a lot of things are, coming into mass extinction. And I think it would be really foolish of us to think that, if species, all these other species, for instance, insects and mammals and all kinds of birds, are going into mass extinction, I think it would be foolish of us to think that humans are not going to go through a mass extinction. We cannot possibly look at what has been happening environmentally on the planet, including the melting of the ice in the north and in the south, and not wonder what that might trigger within our lifetime. So let me just have another sip of tea. I think that a lot of us have been thinking that, the Age of Aquarius was going to save us from the mess that we have made, or that any of these huge cosmic shifts were going to save us. But those things don't come to us to save us. They come to us to shift us and to open us to a new way of being. So if we can make this shift, if collectively enough of us can hold the energy of the shift from using the brain as the main mode of operation, or the thinking mind, and we could shift into the heart being the brain. And science has already confirmed that the heart is another brain. And so we can actively and intuitively shift into using our hearts as our mode of operation. Then we can shift into this new Homo luminous, a human who is completely in touch with the fact that we are part of the web, that there's absolutely nothing that we can do to the web that isn't going to affect us. We are not superior in any way to any other life form, although we do think that we are. So if we can let go of that kind of thought and that kind of process, then we can inhabit the new earth. But what the Pleiadians are saying, that it's not going to be Homo Sapien, it's going to be Homo luminous. And the ancient cultures of the Inca and the Leka are have been saying the same things, and a lot of Aboriginal cultures have been pointing in the same direction. So it's not like I'm coming up with this new brilliant thought that I'm sharing with you, although much of this message is channeled. Aboriginal communities have been speaking of this for a very long time, and unfortunately the rest of us have not been heeding the message. So what else? I just want to check my notes here. So while 2021 is kind of a sigh of relief that 2020 is over, and we can't really look at 2021 as now we're in the clear, because there's so much work to be done. There's so much work to be done within society. There's so much work to be done within the environment. There's so much work to be done with the way what our operating systems are of, our humans, what our humans are operating through, like our software or our hardware. I'm not sure which way that goes, but the systems that are installed within us really must shift to the heart instead of the thinking mind. And so I really, really would love to encourage all of us, and I'm encouraging myself at the same time, to try to see the world through new eyes, and try to see how can we cease to ignore the problems that have been plaguing us, the problems of racism, and the problems of complete environmental annihilation, and the way we treat each other altogether. There's so many things that we still have to face. And the good news is that we are capable of incredible evolutionary leaps. We've done it before, and we're going to do it again. And there may be sticky times in between. And, there's so much more work to be done. But we are so capable and so able to be able to imagine a whole new world into being. And so my message really is that when we're observing, like now we are able to observe cosmic changes and be able to, put science to it, and put illuminated thought to it, and really actually see what it is that we're going through. Whereas, generations before us, 400 years ago, people didn't have those insights, and they may have been afraid of what was happening in the heavens. Now we can look at it and we can be optimistic, and we can come to understand that, okay, this way wasn't working and it hasn't worked, and we're destroying the planet and ourselves, but there is another way, and we can actually create something. We can still dream the world into a better place. So, just remembering that we are connected to two very powerful sources. One is Earth Mother through our root chakra, and one is the universe and complete consciousness through our Viracocha, our 8th chakra, and that we can marry these two energies in our heart, and we can use them as support and as illumination. And then we can, when we make decisions, when we have talkings with each other, we can have those decision-making processes and those talkings with each other to be heart-centered. And I think there's so much hope for us, because I have seen in 2020 how much we have learned and how much we have been able to shift, because we had the will for it, we had the desire for it. Not everybody has the desire for it. There's still plenty of people that are profiting from other people's misery, but for the most part, I think we are really turning the tide, and we're becoming so much more heart-centered, and that just gives me so much hope. And it's really not the time right now for fighting. Like, I know it's really magnetic to want to fight what is happening in the world right now and to be in resistance, but these things have to happen. These things had to happen, because unless something big happens to us, we just carry on as usual. So the things that are happening are really a blessing, and they're bringing us to a new state of awareness. So I think that, fighting it and saying that we're in resistance to it, and saying that, this faction is doing this and we don't want to be part of that, I think we don't need to worry so much about the external. We need to worry more about the internal. And if we can be peaceful and loving and compassionate on the inside, then we can bring that same sort of world into existence on the outside. And I know so many beautiful people, so many people who are, they're not really putting themselves aside, but they are. They're growing their internal environment, but they're focusing a lot on what they can do for others, and they're really creating a profound shift in the world. And I'm so grateful for all of you who are interested in creating this new earth, and this new earth that is going to be inhabited by Homo Luminous is really everything that we've dreamed of. But we have to do the work. The cosmic shenanigans are not going to do the work for us. As much as they happen and they're big shifts, they're opening the doorways for us to do the work. So we are the ones that have to create the changes. We can't just say, hey, it's the Age of Aquarius, everything is going to be great now, la la la. We have to create those changes. As much as we look forward to it, we are the ones that are bringing it into focus. And I think, our focus for so long, for so many centuries, has been on polarity and division, and it's just not working. So, we can lay down our swords. We can just try living through the heart and allow our hearts to be our brains. I hope this has been of benefit, and I thank you again for watching. And if this resonates with you and it does feel true for you, I would love it if you would love this video, like it on YouTube, Follow me on YouTube for other videos. And if this doesn't resonate with you, that's okay too. I'm sending so much love to all of you. Thank you for being here with me. Until we meet again and I get a clicker.